Hello, dear students. Jai Hind. Very good morning. Welcome back to our e-learning program. As you all know, we are in the process of continuing chapter number 6, ratio and proportion. And as I told you, in this particular chapter, so far in lecture 1 to 9, we were able to cover chapter of topic of variation, and we have also covered the topic of compound interest. But dear student, whatever examples of compound interest which we have done, still few complicated examples are still left to be covered. In our previous lectures so far, you might be knowing that we have covered in the topic of compound interest three important aspects where sometime compound interest is counted annually. We have solved few examples in our lecture number 7. In our lecture number 7, we have taken compound interest, means few examples which involve compound interest calculated 6 monthly, half yearly, or semi annually. Then in our lecture number 9, you can remember, we have taken examples where compound interest was compounded quarterly. That means one period of 3 months. Now, dear student, before we start today's lecture, there are some examples which may include the utilization of the same formula. As you all know, A equal to P into bracket 1 plus R upon 100. But initially, we are trying to solve such examples now where you cannot use that particular formula, because the given data, once I will write the data and you will read it, you will immediately come to know that it is not an example involving the application of the same formula which you learnt. Okay. So first, dear student, the title of the chapter, that's chapter 6. Okay. And chapter name ratio and proportion, as you know. Okay. Ratio and proportion, and in this particular chapter, dear student, we are discussing the topic of compound interest. That is what we are discussing. Okay. And today, dear student, you are attending in that lecture number 10. Okay, where we are going to discuss some of the examples which are little complicated than the routine examples which we have solved so far. Okay, let us take one by one. Okay, see dear student, first example which I want to take, okay, is this one. Okay, let me write the example first for you in today's lecture. The example is like this. The first one in today's lecture. Okay, find find the find the amount if find the amount, understand, find the amount on rupees. This is the example. Find the amount on rupees 1000 on compound interest on compound interest for, just note down the question dear student, for 2 years. Find the amount on rupees 1000 on compound interest for 2 years. Understand, if, this is very important word, if rate of interest, rate of interest, okay, for the, this is very important word, for the successive years, for the successive years are 10% and 5%. First dear student, just note down the sum and see some of the intricacies in this example. Okay, first you need to understand the given data very clearly. Examples, no doubt you have calculated to find compounded amount either for 2 year, 3 year, 1.5 year, 9 month, whatever. But here you have to find compounded amount. Understand, the rupees 1000 is borrowed and to be paid for 2 year, but here very word, it for the successive years are 10% and 5%. This is very important word for us. Actually, I must tell you that these last words, the successive years are 10% and 5%, are actually the highlighter of the sum because these last words are going to decide which method will act in solving such examples. Understood? Here you are going to count amount for 2 years, no doubt. But here the rate of interest are not constant for 2 years. They are actually changing. For the first year, the rate of interest is 10%, and for the second year, the rate is third yearly. Understood? CDA student. Whenever you come across such data where compound interest is charged for the successive year different rate of interest, then that particular formula which we used to take cannot be applied. Okay, make one thing very clear. Then what to do? So dear student, here you have to write this way. For the okay, for the first year, please note down the method we are going to adopt. For the first year, the principal you know, that's rupees 1000. Okay, rate of interest, dear student, for the first year is 10%. Okay, and obviously you are counting for the first year, so n is going to be 1 only. 1 year I can mention here also. Okay, P R N, n equal to 1 year. Rate of interest for the first year is 10%. Principal amount that you know, rupees 1000. Now dear student, this is the formula you have to adopt. I equals to PRN upon 100. Okay, this formula of simple interest you need to apply here. What is P? 1000. Rate of interest 10%, and obviously 1 dear student upon 100. Okay, let us cancel out two zeros. So interest is 100 rupees. Okay, for the first year. Let us find the amount. A equal to P plus I. 1000 plus 100. That's equal to 1100 rupees. The first year, this is over. This is the first part. For the first year, we'll take 1000. For the first year, the rate of interest, and you are counting interest for the first year only. So the simple equals to P and then A equals to P plus I. We got the amount at the end of the first year as 1100 rupees. Okay. Now, dear student, you have to do this way. For the second year, okay, for the second year. Now, dear student, as I explain you the basics, the amount of the previous year becomes principal for the second year. So P equal to obviously 1100 rupees. Rate of interest for the successive year were 10% and 5%. So for the second year, rate of interest is 5%, n equal to the obviously 1 year. Okay, dear student, now I equals to PRN upon 100. P, as you know, 1100, rate of interest 5%, number of year obviously 1 upon 100, two zeros cancel. This is 55 rupees. Understand, dear student, very well. You have to find amount at the end of 2 year which the person can receive. So now what to do? First stage, second stage, and now third stage of the sum. Dear student, you have to write this way: CI, compound interest, first year 100 plus what you got for the second year 55. This is equal to 155 rupees. Okay. And now, dear student, you will find the amount. What was the principal? 1000, and this is the amount 155. This is going to be 1155 rupees. Okay. This is the way you have to solve such examples divided in three stage. For the first year, then for the second year, then find CI, and then find amount. Okay. Just, dear student, look at this example and more per the same type, that is also we are going to calculate. First, you just have a look at this sum. Here, the successive rate of interest for the 2 year were given 10% and 5%. Okay. And I have intentionally done some process which I will explain you when we do one another. Okay, first you just have a look at the. Okay, sometime it happens, dear student. Suppose you do not want to just do this process. When we solve the second example, I will definitely change a little bit from here. But first you look at this example and look at the method and look at the highlighter words of the sum. Understand? Whenever you come across such data where you need to find the amount but the interests are charged different for the successive year, you have to follow and you have to just utilize the simple formula of simple interest I equals to PRN upon 100 we used to do in case of simple interest. Okay, first we just have a look at the sum and then we'll try one another example. Okay, just have a look and write comfortably first. Let us try another example. Okay, another example. Whenever you will have such type of example involving different rate of interest for the successive years, you have to follow the same method which we have just now followed. Okay, you need to continue the same method in solving such examples. You see one example still I will solve for you and one as an SLP instantaneous practice. Okay, let us write example number 2. Okay, and the example is like this: calculate, please note down the sum, calculate. Okay, calculate amount, calculate amount due, calculate amount due in 3 years. Calculate amount due in 3 years on rupees on rupees 5,000 if. Read the sum again, dear student, and please note down properly. Calculate amount due in 3 years on rupees 5,000 if rate of if rate of interest for successive successive years. Rate of interest for successive years are 7%, 8%, and 10%. Okay, dear student, first you just have a look at the sum and note down properly. In the previous example, we have taken the example involving the changed rate of interest for the two successive years. Here, three different rate of interest successive years. So example no doubt involves the same step. Okay, let us try out. Okay, you must have written the example properly and highlighter word I do not need to mention because you understand for the successive years are 7%, 8% and percent. Okay, let us start, dear student. This particular example where successive rate of interest are for 3 years will involve 4 different stages in solving the sum. Okay, first you will write this way for the first year. Okay, dear student, for the first year, what is the principal as you know? Rupees 5,000. That principal. Okay, dear student, rate of interest for the first year is 7%. Okay, number of year obviously 1 because you are considering the period of the first year only. Now as usual I equals 2, as you know I equals to PRN upon 100, P that is 5,000, R 7%, and obviously 1 upon 100, 2 zeros cancelled, 57 ja 350 rupees. Okay, so you got I. Now dear student, amount A equals to P plus I, 5,000 plus 350. So this is going to be 5350 rupees. Amount has been calculated for the first year. Okay, now for the second year, for the second year, amount of the previous Yes, principal for the second year. So, dear student, P equals to rupees 5350. R equals to what is the interest for the second year? 8%. N equal to 1 year. Obviously, because you are counting for each and every year. Again, the same formula. I equals to PRN upon 100. Okay. 5350 into 8 into 1 upon 100. 10 cancelled. Just we can cut decimal, so don't divide, just multiply. 8 5 ja 40, 0 for carry. 8 3 ja 24 plus 4 28 to carry. 8 5 ja 40 plus 2 42. 4280 upon 10, this is cancelled, so you got 428 rupees as the interest. Let us get the amount again. A equals to P plus I. What is principal here? 5350, and interest obviously 428 rupees. Just add it. 8, 5 plus 2 7, 3 plus 4 7, 5778 rupees. This is for the second year. Now for the third year. Okay, first you have done for the first year, then for the second year, and now for the third year. Amount of previous year becomes principal for the next year. So principal is 5778 rupees. Rate of interest obviously for the third year is 10%, and obviously a period of 1 year. P R N. Then, as you know, I equals to PRN upon 100. P, that is 5778. R 10%, and obviously 1 upon 100. 10 cancel. 577.8 rupees. Dear student, the fourth step, just try to understand what we have done. I just want to variate a method little bit here. There are two ways to find compounded amount at the end. You can do by, if you just want to do As we have done in the previous example, what you can do, you can find Ci by adding 350, 428 and 577.8, and then you will find the amount. That's one way. But suppose you do not want to do that way, so dear student, directly also it is possible that you simply write P plus I. But if you do not want to do like that, that adding all Ci and then adding with the original principal, if you directly want to calculate the sum, so you have to count this principal, not of previous years. Understand? So what is the principal here? 5778. What is the interest? 577.8. Just add them. Point 0.8, 7 plus 8, 15, 1, 7, 7 plus 1, 8 plus 7, 15, 1, 6 plus 7, 13, 1. This is the amount you are going to receive. Understood? First you look at the given sum, just write down each and every data, and I just will give you the idea how such examples can be divided in successive steps. Maybe they can ask in exam, understand, for 4 successive years. Rate of interest you can count also for 4 successive years also. First you just understand, just write comfortably each and every step I have written here, and then I just give you the revisional just hint of the sum. Okay, just you note down first. Okay, so see dear student, to be more specific, in such example, when the highlighted word is this, that simply means that you will solve the example not by the method, not by the formula you know. If the sum is going to change, understand, if your first part you will find amount for the first year. Understood? Amount for the first year becomes principal for the second year. Then you will find by utilizing simple formulas, amount I equal to PRN upon 100, A equals to P plus I. Then you will find amount for the second year, dear student. Amount for the second year becomes principal for the third year. Okay, then again you will apply the same formula and find simple interest, and now this is the fourth stage, dear student. Here, if you can notice, I have already made one change in the example. You understood? In the previous example, what was our third stage? There it was just for the two successive year. There at in the third stage we found CI by adding the interest of both the year, and that CI was added to the original principal 1000 rupees. Here also you can do that way, that you add interest of all 3 year and you will get CI. That CI is to be added to the original principal to get the resultant amount, but you may alter a method little bit. Rather than doing that, whatever interest you got at the end, that is to be added to this principal, not the original. Then you will get in just in one stage the amount you are going to receive at the end of 3 successive years. You understood? So, dear student, as you all know that we are planning the lecture in such a way that you will not get confused in this particular topic of arithmetic. Understand, most of the topic in this chapter, ratio, proportion, are maximum of arithmetic. We are and we have planned the lecture in such a way that in each lecture you will confine, and I confine my explanation to only one particular type of example. In lecture 7, I targeted to find CI only annually. Lecture 8, I targeted to find CI only half yearly. Lecture 9, I, I targeted to find CI, understand, only for the quarterly. And then in today's lecture number 10, we targeted the examples where rate of interest were not fixed, but they are going to alter from one year to the next year. So whenever, dear student, will come across such example, make one thing very clear: you can't adopt that particular formula, understand, for counting the amount. Here you have to go in the same way. You understood this? Okay, so dear student, attend each and every step I have done here on the board quite properly. Okay, and always whenever we solve any sum, I give you the highlighter word. On this word you need to concentrate, because that is going to alter your method of solving the example. Okay, dear student, thank you very much.